everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Crime and Coffee Couple. My name's Allison.
And my name's Mike.
Hi, Mike.
Hey, Al, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm all right. Hanging in there, just every day. Every day's another day.
Every day. I don't know why I'm in a singing mood.
Well, I was thinking that I wanted to sing a little song too. So when I woke up this morning, if that's okay, if you'll allow me.
Okay.
When I woke up, this song was in my head from like the 90s, just randomly. I don't know if we heard it in a movie or something, but that song that goes, I got you where I want you.
You did sing that.
That one.
I like that song.
Yeah, it's by The Flies. Called Got You Where I Want You.
And I will tell you, no, we did not watch a movie with that song in it. I was not involved in any of that because I would remember it because I like that song.
There's a nice line that reminds me of you. I think you're smart, you sweet thing.
Aw, that's so sweet.
Yeah, and you don't have to tell me your sign because I already know your sign.
You do.
Yeah, so that's good.
I'm a Gemini.
You are, yeah. In case anybody's wondering, Allison's a Gemini.
And you're an Aries.
I am, yeah.
And we're a good match.
And I don't really care about signs, so what else is going on?
I like it. I think it's kind of fun. Not much. I'm just drinking my shaken espresso like we shared the recipe for. Easy peasy.
Yeah.
Lemon squeezy.
Right. And besides that, we're just enjoying having a little bit of off time, in the summertime here. So.
With baseball ending, now we've got a little bit of time.
And most importantly, we are welcoming a new niece into this world.
We did, on Thursday, July 13th.
Such a doll.
She was born on the 13th, just like you were.
Yeah.
You were April 13th. Mm-hmm. And she is precious.
Oh, she's perfect.
Unfortunately, they're up in Illinois where we're from, so we won't be able to see them until we travel up there in a couple months, and we cannot wait. It's the first baby we've had since our own in the family.
I was saying it's very similar to when we got a puppy, Poppy. It's a family puppy. So we're like all at the same time. We got this new puppy. We loved on it. Now we're like, this is our first family baby,
right?
Where everybody, like, the baby's born, the whole family is old enough. Like, our kids are old enough to know about it and stuff, and they were excited. Well, our daughter was excited. Our son's like,
I think our son said something. I'm like, oh, did you see Harper? She's so beautiful, and he goes, she's nice. I'm like, okay.
And I walked in on him and I was like, hey, Harper's on the phone. He's like, who? And I'm like, Harper, your
cousin?
Your new cousin? And he's like, well, how's she on the phone? She was just born. I'm like, oh, she's like on FaceTime.
She FaceTimed us, Cam.
Yeah, come say hi.
Babies are very advanced these days.
Yeah, and he's like, well, she's not going to understand. I'm like, just come and look at her, okay?
Oh my gosh, he's so funny.
Yeah.
So that was very exciting. And she's just perfect.
Yeah, and I mean, it's more perfect than our babies even, and our babies were good looking.
Oh, our kids were very cute.
Yeah, well,
our son was a little questionable.
Yeah, he was questionable. He had a big head, huge lips, like it kind of looked
big
odd.
Droopy eyes.
Yeah, I said that somebody that's going to be kissing him will be lucky if they like the big lips.
He's grown and he's a handsome man.
Yeah, he's a good looking guy.
Oh, and speaking of teenagers, it's just they're too much. If you live with a teenager, you understand. He had a drink yesterday. He had a baseball game or practice or something. Had this huge thing from a racetrack gas station. So I bring it to his door. I'm like, is this your drink? And he's like, I just got out of the shower. The door's locked. I'm getting dressed. I'm like, okay, well, do you want this drink? He goes, leave it by the door. I'm like, what are we, like in prison here?
He's done that to me before.
Leave it by the door.
I'm like, yeah, leave it by the door and walk away slowly. It's
like what?
Because he sits in his room in his underwear, probably less than his underwear, and just looks at his phone. And I'm like, Cam, you got to get moving, buddy.
I'm like, get dressed.
Yeah, just at the very least, get dressed.
Oh my gosh.
So funny.
You have to have a lot of patience.
You do.
And I don't.
No, unfortunately, you have almost zero, I would say.
It's funny.
We've worked
really
on it.
is.
You have maybe you went from 0 to 0.5 when the
Yeah.
average person probably has 7.
Yeah, there's not much patience in this tank.
Yeah. Well, while our kitten's coming in here to say hi to us, why don't we get started on this?
Yeah,
thing?
let's do it. And this little son of a bitch kitten better not be climbing up the back of my seat like he did the other day. We were doing a bonus episode and there was a cat climbing.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm ready if you are, Mike.
I'm ready.
All right, so this is the story of Megan Meier, and the story is a listener suggestion from Carolyn, so thank you, Carolyn. So Megan Taylor Meier was born on November 6, 1992. She was said to have come into the world loud and determined and to have her own mind to make a difference. Megan was outgoing, and one of the greatest loves in life was her 4.5-pound Chihuahua, who was named Barry White, which
That's adorable.
Such a cute name.
Yeah.
And initially, Megan and her sister Allison had begged their mom Tina for a dog. She stood firm on their decision of no, but then they saw Barry as a family, and who could resist him? He was 6 months old. It was love at first sight for the entire family. So lo and behold, Tina cracked. They got Barry White.
I mean, kittens are one of the cutest things ever made.
Oh my gosh, they're so cute.
Yeah. I don't blame her.
Yeah, so he had a little face. I saw him. He was adorable. So he buried himself under Megan's covers each and every night as they went to sleep together. Their love was very much mutual. Megan was raised by parents Ron and Tina Meier in Dardenne Prairie, which was next to the town of O'Fallon and 30 miles west of St. Louis, Missouri. So they're in Missouri. So Ron worked as a tool and die maker, and Tina was a real estate agent.
My dad's business had something to do with tools and dies.
Okay, I know your dad was a tool. I'd never heard the word die.
My dad was a tool?
No, that he worked with tools.
Real nice.
Your dad is not a tool. He's
Real
a
nice.
lovely gentleman. So they had been in a long-term relationship. They met in second grade. They went to prom together, just like you and I did. They were together in high school. They got married in 1990. And when Tina was 19 and Ron was 20 is when they got married. And 2 years later, they welcomed Megan into the world. And then, of course, they went on to have a second child, Allison. So in 1994, the family moved to a new house where this story takes place. This is in Waterford Crossing subdivision onto Waterford Crystal Drive. The neighborhood was very friendly. It was tight-knit. It was the type of place where, people are mowing their lawns and then afterwards they're gathering on the driveway to have a beer or something together.
Yeah. Hey, Ron, you want to come over? Yeah, okay.
Right. And either you like that or you don't.
It's the Americana. Yeah, you kind of picture that for America, basically.
So in 2004, Tina had sold a house only 4 doors down from her own to Kurt and Lori Drew. They incidentally had a daughter the same age as Megan, which is nice. So during that year, the fickle friendship formed between Megan and their daughter Sarah. The Drew's daughter was described as prim and obedient, and this was not how Megan was. Megan was more wild. She had a domineering personality, and oftentimes these differences did clash in their friendship. The pair would hang out all day Friday, all day Saturday. By Sunday, Megan needed her space. She was kind of just wanting Sarah to go home.
That's not really rare. We see it in relationships with our children, or even our own relationships. You spend too much time with somebody. Yeah, you and me. Like sometimes you just want me to kind of leave for a couple days.
Well, it's not that at all. It's more, I like to be alone sometimes.
It's important.
Like to be able to read or whatever it is I want to do to my own. So I could understand that, but unfortunately this left Sarah, the Drew's daughter, feeling rejected.
It can definitely hurt feelings if gone about the wrong way.
Mm-hmm. So Tina felt that this also upset the parents, Lori and Kurt. This tense situation was intensified by the close proximity of their houses and just the general nature of this tight-knit community. According to some neighbors, the Drews had never been particularly popular within the neighborhood. They were often considered to be a local inconvenience.
Huh, interesting.
Lori was felt to be annoying, though she never seemed to have a cruel streak, but she definitely was considered to be one of those like helicopter parents where it's just like, oh God, I don't have time for this right now. So they seemed pushy. They often wanted to be included in everything that was going on within the community.
And nobody wanted to include them, I'm guessing. Because it's like, I don't know. They're a whole other ballgame if you invite them.
And they're coming in after the fact because Megan's family's moving into this house in 1994. They didn't come in until 2004. So oftentimes relationships are already established, which, you need to welcome new people with open arms too. And it sounds like they probably did, but it was just not really a personality fit with everybody.
I'm sure any person that was, an average person would have been fine, but these people kind of seem like maybe they were a little bit different. And that's okay.
Rub people the wrong way.
But that's up to them.
So 2 of the neighbors even created a signal so that they could be excused when conversation with the Drews was lingering.
Oh my gosh, what was it?
Don't know.
Oh man, it'd be like tippy toe.
Or like calling them over. Like, oh, hey, I forgot. You got to get to this, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, it's to get you out of the conversation.
I've actually had to do that with patients at the hospital.
Sure.
Where I'll tell one of the speech therapists, please call my number if I don't come out of this room within blah, blah, blah time. So, it's just that sometimes they could be, again, overbearing.
Sad.
So regardless, Tina made sure to remind Megan that she needed to be kind no matter what was going on. And just, call the Drew's daughter when she, not only call the Drew's daughter when she had nothing better to do. It seemed like maybe Megan was treating it as like an afterthought friendship, and Sarah was putting it way higher on her list of priorities.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. When you're not getting out what you're putting in. Also, it's sad for Sarah because she just, all she wants is to hang out with Megan. Obviously, she feels good around her, and unfortunately, it's not the same.
It wasn't a level playing field.
Right.
So the friendship did end up fading out, and there were some hard feelings that were lingering and remained. So in 2006, Megan was 13 years old, and that's when this story takes place. She was a typical teenage girl who loved playing with makeup, wearing shiny lip gloss, dark eyeliner, shopping with her friends, watching MTV. She loved scary movies. She loved boating. She loved animals, especially dogs. Megan had her share of struggles in childhood. She battled depression for years. She was always trying to lose weight. She was dealing with attention deficit disorder. Tina recalls that Megan's attitude and mood could change on a dime. She might enter a room happy and upbeat. Something just out of the blue could affect her, and her attitude would just switch.
Just completely 180. Huh.
When Megan was in 3rd grade, she saw a therapist after she had talked about suicide. She told her mom that she wanted to kill herself.
In 3rd grade?
3rd grade.
So sad.
It is. It's very sad. She was prescribed 3 medications. She was prescribed Celexa as an antidepressant, Concerta for ADD, and Geodon to help stabilize her mood. Tina feels that a lot of Megan's troubles were related to her weight and always feeling that she wasn't enough. So as young as kindergarten, Megan would make comments comparing her body to others, making the comment that the size of her legs was larger than that of her peers. And, when you're in kindergarten, you're probably only 5?
Yeah.
So that's very young to notice that difference.
Yeah, you got to wonder where that came from, like watching television or magazine, whatever it might be.
So Tina said that Megan had good times too. She wasn't depressed every step of the way. She was known around her neighborhood as being fearless. She would be the one playing with the frogs that all the other kids were scared to touch. She was loud and funny. She laughed with a theatrical air-sucking gasps. She was also kind. She became a self-appointed guardian to a blind classmate. She would lead him through the halls between classes.
That's super sweet.
Tina indicated that 6th grade wasn't horrible for Megan, though things got rough in 7th grade and she was kind of a mess. She was trying desperately to fit in. That's a very difficult time of your childhood because you are trying to find your place in the world. And at that age, kids start to become a little cruel. So I do remember that's when things changed, is when I went to middle school.
Yeah, especially in that time. We went to middle school, similar time, right? No, they're 2004.
Yeah, we were in 1993. We were in middle school.
Yeah.
So that's when I noticed that everybody that used to just play together were now separating into groups.
Yeah, your cliques are separating.
Yeah, and I thought in my head, why? Why does it have to be like that?
Because some people want to have this image in their head that they want to be the popular kid or the popular group. That's the biggest problem, really, the popular group. And then they start deciding, okay, no, you're a dork or you're a nerd.
Making these decisions.
Yeah, then they start making fun of everybody below in their heads. But it's just so stupid. That seems like less now.
I hope so.
We ask our kids about popular in their schools, and it's yeah, there's kind of a popular sect, and we're well, they don't say sect. I did, but we're yeah, those are the kids that are going to drink and stuff, and probably end up going nowhere. So don't feel bad, but yeah, I don't know. It's sad.
I struggled with that a lot, though. I just why can't we all just be friends together? So at the time of the story, things were going very well for Megan. She had left the Fort Zumwalt school district and she had began 8th grade at a new school. This was a private school called Immaculate Conception. It was in Dardanelle Prairie, Missouri, where she joined the volleyball team. She was, engaging and interacting. When Tina and Ron made the decision to transfer Megan from public school to Immaculate Conception for, 8th grade to start, the classes were smaller, uniforms were mandatory, and this change they found in their daughter was wonderful.
Oh, great.
It seemed like she did well with the smaller groups and the fact that now you're in a uniform, and that helps because you're not under pressure to look a certain way.
Yeah, dress a certain way.
Because everybody is dressed the same.
Right.
So it was a good change for her. Megan stopped stressing so much about her hair and makeup, though she soon started asking her mom about opening a MySpace account so that she could chat online with friends. Ron and Tina were hesitant to agree, just as the year before, Megan and Sarah had secretly set up a MySpace account. This is Sarah, who is Lori and Kurt's daughter.
Right.
So on the sly, they set up an account without permission. A cousin of Tina's just happened to discover this account. It featured a Playboy bunny icon. And this cousin let Tina and Ron know, hey, Megan's got this account. I hope you're aware. They didn't know of this, but when they did find out, they did know that Sarah was involved. They did not tell the Drews that this happened. They just shut it down. So another time, 47-year-old Lori Drew was sifting through her phone bills. She noted a series of calls to New York. When she investigated, hey, what the heck is this? Sarah informed her that Megan had placed these calls to talk to a boy that they had met online. This incident was also not discussed with the Meiers. So things were not being openly discussed when there was trouble happening.
Yeah, I get it that you don't want to cause ripples or anything, but yeah, you should share it.
So Megan was very persistent. She continued to ask her mom if she could open a MySpace account. She said, please, for my 14th birthday, can I get a MySpace account if you approve of what's on there? Tina and Ron eventually agreed. They did have stipulations. Number 1, Ron and Tina would only be the ones to know the password. Number 2, it had to be set to private. Number 3, they had to approve the content. And number 4, they had to be in the room while Megan was using the computer. So on September 13th...
that number 4 is going to be broken.
Right. I mean, they were going to try to control it as best as possible. Because she didn't have the password, she was to log out. So in order to log back in, they had to be...
So she wouldn't have the password just then. Okay.
She would not have the password.
That's really smart. Really smart.
So they were truly controlling that. So on September 13th, 2006, the profile Megan Baby went live. It was BABI. Megan chose Pretty and Bling 16 for her instant messaging name. She wrote, I'm in 8th grade at ICD school. I'm going to St. Dominic High School. I like hip hop dance and I love to shop. Yeah, there's really hot guys at my school. They are fine. So being only 13, Megan was technically not old enough to set up a MySpace account, which requires a user to be at least 14. However, MySpace didn't institute any effective means of enforcing this age restriction. All you needed was an email address to sign up, and unlike Facebook, users are not required to identify themselves with a first and a last name.
Well, yeah, that didn't really come out until much later, Facebook, popularity. So MySpace was kind of the wild, wild west.
Right. So in mid-September of 2006, Megan received a friend request from someone named Josh Evans. He was a 16-year-old boy that lived within their area, and I guess he was homeschooled. In his profile, Josh is said to be, like I said, 16. He stood at 6'3". According to his profile, he has a great chest. Okay. Dislikes sushi, and I guess he had put no, ew. Prefers Coke to Pepsi, owns a trillion CDs, and trillion was not spelled properly, and liked pizza with green peppers, pepperoni, sausage, oh yeah. So Tina indicated that Josh's picture was adorable. He had big blue eyes, very cut features, brown wavy hair. Megan begged her mom to allow her to accept his friend request. And eventually Tina relented. Teenagers can be very persistent.
And he was 16?
Mm-hmm. And she's going to be 14. So over the next 6 weeks, Megan and Josh became acquainted through the page, with Tina keeping a watchful eye over the situation, continuing to warn her daughter that Josh could be anybody.
Could be a 50-year-old in New York or whatever. Could be one of your teachers.
All the time. So Megan had struggled with her weight, like I had said, and low self-esteem throughout her life. Suddenly now she's talking to this very handsome boy around her age, and she's finding this situation to be very thrilling.
Yeah, I mean, like, around 14, hormones are kicking in, and, your sexual awakening is kind of happening. And
it's exciting.
Yeah.
So she would rush home from school, eager to log onto the computer and catch up with Josh. It was Sunday, October 15th, 2006, when Megan received an odd and out-of-the-blue message from Josh. He indicated that he wanted to end their friendship. And like I said, everything was hunky-dory up to this point. All of a sudden, this is switching on a dime. So it read, I don't know if I want to be friends with you anymore because I've heard that you are not very nice to your friends. Megan was completely befuddled. She was
we know
frantic.
What's going on here. Yeah.
She immediately wrote back, what are you talking about? And at this point in time, because she didn't understand where this was coming from, her anxiety escalated, keeping in mind that she has anxiety at baseline. And she was rapidly sending him messages, sent 5 messages between 8:57 and 9:05 p.m., trying to figure out, what do you mean by this? And I could relate, as a teenager, I'd be like, what do you mean?
What'd I do?
What did I do? So on the next day, it was October 16th. It was a gloomy, rainy Monday. Megan headed to school. She handed out her birthday invitations. She would be turning 14 in less than a month. The party was to include a game of flashlight tag around the neighborhood. At 3:20 p.m., Tina picked Megan up from school. She dropped her off at home. Megan asked her mom, "Can I please log on to the MySpace account so that I could see if Josh responded?" She wanted to understand where his comment was coming from and why he thought that she was mean. Who had he been talking to in order to come to this conclusion? So Tina signed her on. She was distracted herself. She's a busy mom. She was in a hurry trying to get Allison to her orthodontist appointments. As she rushed to get out of the house, Tina could see that Megan was upset because Josh was still sending troubling messages. The situation was escalating since he began sharing Megan's messages with others. Tina recalls that she asked Megan to log off of her account, and Megan told her she would. She said she was just finishing up. Pressed for time, Tina needed to get Allison to her appointment, so she left to take her to the orthodontist.
Yeah, you're going to trust your kid that they're going to do what they say?
She's like, I'm just sending this message. I'm going to log myself out. So she believed it.
Sure.
So meanwhile, Ron had worked the early shift. He was upstairs napping. So while at the orthodontist, Tina called Megan and she asked her if she had logged off. Megan explained that she hadn't. She said that they were all being mean to her. Tina was getting frustrated. She demanded that she log off as she had already asked her. So 15 minutes later, Megan called her mom. She was in tears, telling Tina that they were posting bulletins about her. Apparently, a bulletin is like a survey. They had titles such as Megan Meier is a slut, Megan Meier is fat. Megan was sobbing, and meanwhile, Tina was angry that she had still not logged off. When Tina came home from the appointment at 5 p.m., she headed down to the basement where they kept the family's computer. She found Megan in a state of distress. She was shocked by the vulgar languages that her own daughter was using in response to what she had seen on MySpace. She had called someone else a slut. So, Tina was taken aback by that.
Well, she's being defensive. Everybody's coming at her.
She's reacting.
Yeah.
So Tina expressed to Megan that she was extremely aggravated that she was doing this. They got into an argument about it. Tina noted that someone had sent messages calling Megan fat. She saw Megan had responded, "I'm skinny now." Megan turned to leave, but before she did, she said to her mom, "You're supposed to be my mom. You're supposed to be on my side." And as Megan headed up to the second floor, she ran into her dad, Rob, on the stairway. And is it Ron?
Ron.
I don't know why. Rob. Sorry. My apologies. So she ran into her dad on the stairs going up to her room. She was explaining to her dad that some kids were saying terrible things about her and she couldn't understand why. Ron assured her that all would be okay. It was clear that these people obviously didn't know her. That's what he's telling his daughter. He's like, they don't know you. They don't even know who you are. Just shake it off. So while Ron went downstairs, Megan headed up to her room. And Ron met Tina in the kitchen where she was cooking dinner. They discussed the situation and what was happening on the MySpace account. As Tina continued about the kitchen getting the dinner ready, she said she experienced a sudden god-awful feeling that made her just freeze mid-sentence. She stopped what she was doing. She ran upstairs to check on Megan. When she entered Megan's room, she found Megan in her closet. She saw her immediately since Megan had recently persuaded her dad to take the closet doors off so that she could replace them with these sheer purple curtains. Megan had used a cloth belt that Tina had just purchased from Old Navy and hung herself from a closet organizer.
That quickly?
Oh my
God.
We are talking
so
about
sad.
like minutes happening.
Ugh.
They're literally in the kitchen. The mom is doing a routine, mundane task of just preparing dinner, discussing with her husband what the situation is. But this feeling that Tina got just stopped her in her tracks.
That's so incredibly sad. This poor, almost 14-year-old
She was weeks away from her 14th birthday.
is hanging in her own closet?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
With her own belt. And the next day, October 17th, only 3 weeks before she would have turned 14, Megan tragically died. And I just can't even imagine what these parents must be going through. I can't.
So she was hanging and they obviously got her into a hospital?
Yeah, so she was able to, they called 911, the paramedics came, she survived that, went to the hospital, but it was clear that she wasn't coming out of this.
Just not enough blood flow to the brain. Oh my God.
Terrible.
That's like, as parents, we know that this isn't a big deal, like in the grand scheme of things.
This MySpace thing is a blip in the radar.
Yeah, obviously the suicide is absolutely terrible. The MySpace we know, okay, she'll be fine in a couple months, and that we want to try to say that to our daughters and sons and everything. They don't know. In their world, this is the biggest thing ever, and they're never going to get over it. And
right.
whether, we all know that's not true, but we have to take that, seriously with any kids. And that, I'm not saying anything about Tina and Ron. They did
no, of course
so
not.
much. They did a great job preventing her from being on there. I mean, having password and everything, I can't imagine being that good of a parent trying to like protect her that much. They did everything they could to protect her, and still something got through. Like
right.
that's insane to me, and I'm so sorry to them.
So later that horrific day, Ron logged into Megan's MySpace account and saw what he believes to be the final message that Megan saw. It was from Josh, and from what Ron can recollect, because it did disappear. It said, "Everybody in O'Fallon knows how you are. Have a shitty rest of your life. The world would be a better place without you." So he believes that that's the last thing she saw. That's when she went upstairs. That's when he passed her on the stairwell. He was going to the kitchen. She was going to her room.
And of course, you're like, I wish I would have like talked to her or grabbed her and gave her a hug or something.
Yeah,
but it's like
the what ifs.
You can't look at that. Things just happened, and you can't be walking around thinking, oh, she's going to commit suicide.
Right. I mean, why would you?
Wow.
So in the meantime, Tina and Ron were trying to process the immense grief that they were dealing with of the sudden loss of their daughter in such a horrific way. They saw a grief counselor. They went to a couple of parents after loss of suicide meetings. They also tried to message Josh Evans, telling him just how deadly and powerful words alone can be. They were unable to do so, though, because his account had been deleted, and he basically fell off the face of the planets.
Yeah, I've got an idea where he's coming from.
So 6 weeks after Megan died, on November 25th, 2006, the phone rang, and on the other line was a neighbor from down the street. One that they didn't really know very well. Her name was Michelle Mulford. She asked Tina and Ron to meet that morning at the counselor's office in Northern O'Fallon. She wouldn't give any more information, though insisted that they come to this meeting. When Ron and Tina arrived, the grief counselor was there, as well as a counselor from Fort Zumwalt Middle School. Michelle was a single mom. She had a daughter that was Megan's age. She told the Meiers that Josh Evans did not exist.
Yeah.
This was a fictional character.
Yeah, no, not a surprise, and I think everybody knows who it was.
She said that the account and persona was created by Lori and Kurt Drew.
Oh, the parents of what's her name?
Sarah.
Sarah? Oh, no. Are you I was thinking it was going to be Sarah the whole time.
Sarah was involved.
Yeah, sure, for sure.
So they put this account together.
What a couple of scumbags.
It sounds like it was more Lori than it was Kurt. Kurt, I believe, was aware of the situation.
If Kurt knows about it, he's equally a scumbag sack of shit.
He lives in the house. They're talking about it. He knows about it. I know that. I know that for certain.
To a 14-year-old, like, I get it if Sarah's doing that. I mean, I don't get it. It's still a piece of shit. But I mean, if teenagers will teenage, but as an adult going after a 13-year-old, are you out of your mind? This is a
47-year-old woman.
Oh,
and
man.
Again,
I'd have a really hard time not like setting their house on fire. Like oh my God, that would make me infuriated, taking my little baby's life. Jesus.
So keep in mind that we can really relate to this story because we have a 14-year-old. We are 44 years old. Like, we could be in this situation.
And I'm the protector. We are there to protect our kids. And if I got wind of somebody screwing with my kids like that, I know, there's no jail that would keep me from making sure they have equally as worse a punishment as my daughter had.
I know. So with the Drews was the input of their 13-year-old daughter, Sarah, as well as an 18-year-old girl who worked for them named Ashley Grills. Michelle said that her daughter carpooled with Kurt and Lori, and Michelle confessed that her daughter had the password to the account and was the one that had logged in and sent the message that Megan received from Josh Evans' account the night before she took her life, not the day of, the night before. This was the message that said that she had heard that Megan was mean to her friends, the one that came out of the blue and started all of this.
So Lori was responsible for that?
No, Michelle's daughter.
Oh, okay.
So Michelle indicated that her daughter had been encouraged to join in on the joke.
Oh, okay.
She also said that her child was feeling extremely guilty for sending the message and not saying something sooner. She said that she hadn't come forward sooner because she knew the Drew family for years, and because she felt that they were trusted adults, what they were doing must be okay. Again, these are 13-year-old children. They're going to take the cues from the friggin' adults in this case.
Sure.
Do they know better? Yeah, of course they do, but they're teenagers. So on the night that the ambulance was called for Megan, Michelle's daughter received a call from Lori Drew, who had created the Josh Evans account. She called to tell the girl that something had happened to Megan, didn't know exactly what the situation was. This is a small community. Ambulances are being sent to this home. They know something's going down.
It's not good.
So she called this girl to tell them, something's happened and do not mention anything about this MySpace account.
They're starting their cover up.
Damage control.
Yeah.
So after dealing with the shock of this new information that Ron and Tina are receiving in this guidance counselor's office, like, what? You have got to be kidding me. We thought this was a 16-year-old joke or a person that she didn't really know that was like being cruel and then deleted their account. To now know that this was at the hands of their neighbors that they, had known for years.
If I'm Tina and Ron, especially Ron, I'm sitting in that room being like, ooh, man, like just my head's exploding. Obviously you're so sad for the loss of your daughter, and to know that this was because of adults that are supposed to know better.
Adults.
Ugh.
So Kurt and Lori on this same day tried to talk to the Meiers. So Ron asked friends to tell them to leave them alone before he physically harmed them. He was basically like, you need to tell them, do not talk to me, do not contact me. Like, we're in a situation now where I don't know what I'm capable of.
This is while he's in the room with the grief counselor.
No, it's at some point in that day, the Drews were trying to contact them to talk to them.
And Ron said...
Ron is telling other people who know the Drews, tell them to leave us the hell alone. I don't know what I'm capable of at this time.
Is this before he knew about the Drews involvement?
No, this is when
after.
he knows.
Okay, so he knows. So he's basically having the same feelings I am.
Yes, exactly. He's like, I'm going to physically harm them if they don't leave me alone. I don't know what I'm capable of doing right now.
100%. Good for Ron, trying to be logical and trying not to put his whole family at danger because of what he can do. And oh my God, I can't imagine what they're going through.
So the Meiers had been storing a foosball table in their garage for the Drews that they had planned to give their children as a Christmas present. Ron and Tina went out to the garage. They used an axe and a sledgehammer and hacked this foosball table into bits. They took the pieces, they put them in a box and spray painted Merry Christmas on the side and left the box in the Drews' front yard. This is how angry they were. Lori, because of this, called the police, and in her report, she indicated that she wanted to inform law enforcement about a neighborhood dispute. In this report, Lori admitted to being actively involved in the Josh Evans hoax. She told police that she felt that this incident contributed to Megan's suicide, but she did not feel as guilty since at the funeral, she had found out that at one point, Megan had tried to commit suicide in the past. This was not true. She had never tried to commit suicide.
She talked about it.
She talked about it. So in a letter dated November 30th, 2006, Kurt and Lori wrote to the Meiers, "We are sorry."
Before that, real quick, I'm just trying to picture the police coming over to Lori and Kurt's house. Lori being like, "I want to report this crazy man that dropped off this foosball table." And the cops are like, "You had something to do with the suicide of their daughter, and you're reporting
the foosball
Ron here?
table.
This is your report."
You're calling the cops on Ron.
Yeah.
Wait. So their daughter died because of a hoax that you as a 47-year-old adult played on their 13-year-olds?
Yeah. Is that, do I have the facts correct here?
Do I have this right?
Okay, and you want me to do a report, and I'd be like, okay, just pretending to write in this. Okay, yeah, the report's taken. I'll see you in jail, in prison, very soon. Okay,
Right.
and then we'll talk about how this report went.
Right, and this report did eventually come to help in a way because Lori is, if in
An
the
absolute
future
psychopath?
begins to change what her involvement in the situation was. But in this report, which she gave to police,
Oh, perfect.
she's damning herself a little bit more.
Good, you dumbass piece of shit. Good.
So then on November 30th, this letter was dated 2006. This is only days after the Meiers are learning the Drews' involvement. They are psychopaths who can't respect the fact that they're asked to leave them alone. They write the Meiers a letter.
Well, because they're like obsessed because they know they had everything to do with this.
Mm-hmm. We are sorry for the extreme pain you are going through and can only imagine how difficult it must be. We have every compassion for you and your family.
No, you can't imagine it.
You can't.
That's number one.
Your daughter's still here.
Yeah, and you killed our daughter.
So in January, the Drews filed another complaint. They indicated that Ron had driven by while they were shoveling in the driveway and shouted, "Who are you going to kill today?" So
good job, Ron.
Yeah, I was like, Ron.
I really like Ron's kind of like passive aggressiveness here. Like it's fantastic. I mean, if I'm Ron, I will give these people hell their entire lives. I will get like this close to like skirting the law and just like making their lives living hells.
And what a horrible situation that these monsters live 4 doors down from them, that they have to see them.
Ron's awesome.
So apparently at one point, Ron was charged with a misdemeanor for performing a lawn job.
to let everybody know, lawn job is where you take your car and go on their lawn and drive all around. Oh, Ron's fantastic.
On their front yard, but he does deny this.
Of course. Well, like there's no cameras.
I didn't do it. Do you have proof that I did it?
Yeah. Is there any grass on your front door that I kicked up? Oh, there is. Oh, well, that wasn't me.
For nearly a year, based on police advice, Ron and Tina had to stay quiet with this information.
Oh, they couldn't tell their friends?
They weren't really. The police are like, don't say anything. So they're basically having to keep quiet with this horrific information that they know about their daughter's death. They did eventually reach out to a reporter who did write an article about this case and refused to put their name in this article.
Well, the downside is you want them to see maximum penalties. And if it gets out, you won't be able to find a jury nearby that hasn't heard about it. So that's why the police are like, keep it on the down low. And it sucks so bad because as a human being, you need to be able to vent, you know? And so you got to tell some of your closest friends, like, this is what you're going through. You know, Kurt and Lori directly had something to do with your daughter's suicide. It's like, oh, so frustrating.
Terrible situation. So again, Tina did contact a journalist, and the journalist published this story minus their names. And this really did get people to put the pieces together. Because again, this is a small, tight-knit community. People can put one and one together. And it definitely came out that the Drews were involved in this. Everyone started to realize what had happened. So eventually there was a testimony. According to the Drews' testimony, they created the Josh Evans account with the purpose of finding out if Megan was making unkind remarks about their daughter.
Yeah, bullshit.
Apparently,
you reached out to her. You asked for a friendship request to her.
Right. And they said they did so to see what she might potentially say about Sarah. So apparently at one point, Megan had called their daughter a lesbian. So that's why they were spurred on to want to know what else she was saying. Communication with Megan through this account was aimed at gaining Megan's confidence so they could find out what Megan felt of their daughter and other people. Get a life. Like,
no kidding.
You have nothing better to do than try to get to the bottom of 13-year-old drama?
If you're obsessed with middle school, high school drama of your own kids, then you need a better life.
Get yourself your own life. How about that? Don't live through your 13-year-old children. Go get yourself a life.
Freaking nerds. Because
I know parents that are like this. It's like, how do you know all this teenage drama? Like, I don't get it. So anyway, they were just doing this to find information out, is what they're saying. A police officer initially wrote that Lori Drew had instigated and monitored the account, though she later contends that this is not accurate. She only agreed to the idea. She says that her daughter and Ashley Grills, who worked for their direct mail business that the Drews ran from their home, initiated it. Reports indicated that Ashley Grills has since been hospitalized for psychiatric care as a result of this case. So Josh Evans was created carefully to exploit Megan's vulnerabilities. He was created for her, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
His photo was stolen from a handsome teenage boy. He was said to listen to Rascal Flatts, Korn, and Nickelback. He liked tongue piercings. He liked having his ear nibbled.
So he had an edge to him.
Yeah.
And so who did Lori say is doing all these texting? Her daughter and Ashley?
Yeah, that's
so she's throwing them under the bus.
Which, again, I found very bizarre. She's throwing her own daughter under the bus.
Probably because she's like, well, she's a minor. They can't give her as much. It's like, you're such a piece of scum.
Yeah, not a good person. His bio indicated that that his dad left him, his older brother, newborn brother, and his mom when he was only 7. His goal was to meet a great girl with long brown hair. In regards to the girl's weight, he wrote, "Don't really matter." Tina was very specific with Megan that if Josh asked to meet in person, the friendship is done. His account is deleted and blocked. So that was a stipulation. You will not be meeting this teenager in person, was Tina. So the Drews maintained through a lawyer that all messages sent from Josh to Megan were positive until the last 24 hours. However, there were strange interactions within the 29 days that they exchanged messages. At one time, Megan asked Josh for his phone number. He replied that he didn't have a phone. On another occasion, Josh asked Megan if he wanted to touch his pet snake, which this message alarmed Tina. In the meantime, Megan felt that her mom's interpretation of the offer was gross, because of course we know what you mean when you're saying pet snake.
Yep.
So one day, Tina was online and Josh messaged her, believing it to be Megan. This was Ashley Grills doing the messaging at this point. She was pretending to be Josh. Ashley was a recent high school graduate who was said to be one of Josh's most active online impersonators. Tina wrote saying that she felt that Josh was too old for her daughter. Josh apologized and quickly logged off. So Tina called the police to try to find out if there was a way that she could protect her daughter, to find out, like, I'm trying to see, is there a way that I can see if this guy is legitimate? She was unable. They're like, we can't.
Yeah, I mean, that's, everybody wishes that.
Mm-hmm. Megan then wrote to Josh, "Hey, mom contacted the Popo to see if you were real." So, she's giving Josh the heads up. Josh responded with something indicating that her mom just wanted to protect her. This was later seen as a red flag. A typical teenager really probably wouldn't have responded in this way.
No, that's apparent, 100%.
Right. They might respond, "What a bitch."
Yeah.
So
they just want to keep us apart, baby.
Mm-hmm. Despite Tina's concerns, she was thrilled to see that her daughter was happy. She was excited from the interaction and compliments that she was receiving from Josh.
I would too. You see her beaming. You're like, this is fantastic. I tell our kids all the time, all we want to do is see you like really enjoying yourself and just like us giving you joy and experiences. And that makes us happy.
Right. What makes a parent happier than seeing their children happy? So Lori Drew has shown little remorse, and through a lawyer has contended that she is an undeserving victim of an avalanche of criticism.
You forgot you're a complete, absolute psychopath.
She sounds like somebody that I would positively loathe.
I mean, it sounds like everybody hated her, so it sounds like everybody knew they were weirdos and wanted to stay away from them.
I'm the victim here.
Sure. Shut the hell up. Like, the judge needs to be like, shut up. Next.
You, quiet.
Yeah.
Reports indicate that Lori was aware of the MySpace account, though she herself never sent any messages to Megan or anyone else using this account.
Bullshit.
She was reportedly unaware of any mean or nasty and negative comments that were made by anyone against Megan until after Megan took her own life. That could be true. We know that it only just started in the 24 hours before. Who knows if she knows? We don't know. The Drews assumed what some would describe as bunker mentality because, again, this information is coming out. People in the area who know both families are aware now of the situation and what happened. Kurt started checking his mail by taking his minivan, backing it down the driveway to check it.
So nobody would throw tomatoes at him?
You know what it kind of reminded me of is Christmas with the Cranks.
Yeah, where everybody hated them.
Everybody hated them because they wouldn't put Frosty up on the roof and they canceled Christmas.
Right.
Because they started doing this. Like they were backing out of their driveway and like hunkering down. That's what this made me think of. Kurt, like I said, would get in his car, and then at some point someone did throw a brick through their kitchen window. The side of their house was splattered with paintballs. Their daughter stopped attending school. Local residents were extremely shocked and angered to realize what happened before Megan took her own life.
I mean, if I'm local there, I want them moving out as quickly as possible. I'll do anything to get them to hate the neighborhood and leave.
Get the hell out of here. Ultimately, the Drews ended up moving.
Good.
There was a unanimous vote, and the town's board of aldermen had passed for the ordinance number 1228, providing for the offenses of harassment and cyber harassment within the city of Dardanelle, Prairie, Missouri. So they're trying to like control cyberbullying through this case. Vengeance was even worse online as people pursued the Drews. On message boards, their home address, the Kurt's work address was all shared and listed. Someone hacked into Lori's voicemail.
That's awesome.
yeah, they were definitely
You're
getting
like,
it.
hi, this is Lori, and I like to bully 13-year-old children. Like, oh man, that's pretty funny.
And then apparently when Sarah Drew, their daughter, testified, she admitted that she knew that her former friend was fragile and at risk for committing suicide. She said that she was devastated about Megan's death, but when asked if she had any role in the fact that Megan is no longer here, without hesitation, she replied no. So, I mean, she's a byproduct of her mother.
Well, yeah, her mom's going to teach her to lie, just like her.
So on December 3rd, after review of the case, it was determined that no charges would be brought, and the Drews are conclusively guilty of little except aggregate. How do you say that word? Aggregate. I don't know. Egregious. Thank you. At least there's a smart.
I can't see it, so I'm just trying to think.
No, it's the word, and at least 50% of this relationship has sense to them and is smart.
You're reading the whole thing. It's hard.
You're smart. I'm not. No. So egregious judgment that set off a chain of horrible events and deep insensitivity in their aftermath. The Meiers don't hold Ashley Grills nor Michelle Mulford's daughter responsible. Ron remembers that around the time that Megan died, she was the happiest she had been in her life. After years of wearing braces, she was scheduled to have them removed on the day that she ultimately died. She was also excited for her upcoming birthday party because, of course, we know she was passing out these invitations. She and Tina had just gone shopping. They had bought a new dress for Megan, who wanted to make a grand entrance at her party. And heartbreakingly, Ron wasn't able to see his daughter in this dress until it was her funeral.
Oh,
I mean,
God.
How tragic is that? Just horrible. So, of course, people are getting involved in this case, and they're analyzing the situation because this is kind of new territory. This is 2006. We need to figure out how to handle cyberbullying. So the FBI started to analyze the case, conducting interviews and reviewing the family's computer. The issue was, though, that the FBI wasn't able to retrieve the electronic messages from Megan's final day, which included the final message that only Ron saw that said, like, the world would be a better place without you. So the Meiers don't plan to file a civil lawsuit, or they didn't, but they wanted laws to change at a state or federal level so that what happened to Megan at the hands of an adult could be considered a crime. In November of 2008, Lori was convicted of 3 misdemeanor counts of unauthorized access to computers for violating MySpace's terms of service. She faced up to 3 years in prison and a $300,000 fine for what prosecutors referred to as a scheme to humiliate Megan, which they felt Megan's suicide was a direct result of Lori's vindictive assaults.
100%.
So because the criminal case involved the use of MySpace's computer servers, Lori's lawyers argued that Ron and Tina shouldn't even be able to speak at her sentencing. Federal law gives victims the right to speak at sentencing, though he felt that under the law, they weren't victims, and if anybody was, it was MySpace. Like, you do realize that MySpace is a corporation?
Well, he's a scumbag lawyer that's just trying to find some loophole so he can win the case.
Ashley Grills testified that Lori felt that the use of MySpace account was a funny idea. She was present about half the time when Sarah Drew sent messages to Megan. Despite Lori denying sending any of the messages, Ashley testified that she had written some, so Lori was lying. It was Ashley who sent the final message telling Megan that the world would be a better place without her in it. She said that she did this. She spoke with Good Morning America. She said she sent the message in an effort to just end this fake online relationship. She felt at this point the joke had gone too far. I think there were probably better ways to do that.
Yeah, she's a stupid kid at this point.
She was 18 years old.
Oh, 18 at that point?
Ashley.
Oh,
Ashley
wow.
is their employee.
Right,
she had just graduated high school.
Yeah.
She began feeling uneasy about the hoax when Megan started voicing interest in meeting Josh Evans. She said that Lori suggested that they set up a meeting with Josh and Megan and go to this location so that they could laugh at Megan when she arrived and Josh wasn't there.
And who testified this?
Ashley.
Oh my God. That's thank God for Ashley being able to turn this back on Lori.
And is it possible she could be lying?
Sure, but I mean, this makes me feel better. So hey, I'm supportive of it.
Yeah. Ashley indicated when they learned of Megan's suicide, she was in absolute shock. Kurt, meanwhile, was yelling at them and panicking and doing damage control, telling them you need to delete this MySpace account, which of course we know they then did quickly because Ron went down to look at the account the next day and Josh didn't exist any longer. So she said after they just sat down, they did not say anything until Lori advised her to just keep quiet about the whole situation. Once people became aware, Ashley started receiving messages and threats. People were encouraging her to commit suicide. She herself, again, like I had said, was hospitalized after she attempted suicide. In a 2008 interview, she indicated that she rarely ever leaves the house. She said that she once viewed Lori as a mother figure, though now she has a lot of anger towards her. She feels that Lori completely threw her under the bus and made her the scapegoat of this case.
Yeah, for sure. And Lori is happy to do it because Lori's a psychopath.
Yep.
So whatever Lori can do to protect herself, she'll do it.
Protect herself. On July 2nd, 2009, a federal judge tentatively overturned guilty verdicts against Lori, issuing a directed acquittal on 3 misdemeanor charges. The judge felt that if Lori is found guilty of illegally accessing computers, anyone who has ever violated the social networking site's terms of service would be found guilty of a misdemeanor. So they're like, if we do this, then where does this go?
Yeah, we know we want to get her, but this is going to set a precedent.
In September of 2009, the case was officially dismissed.
Ugh,
so
sucks.
it was, when they said, oh, the 3 of us were sitting down and creating this account, they're like, well, did you read the terms of service? They're like, no.
Of course not.
Of course, they accepted them. Who reads the terms of service?
Nobody. Ever.
Tina was obviously furious about the decision and felt that Lori deserved the life sentence that her family had been given after losing Megan. She feels that Lori played a ridiculous game with her daughter's life. Since Megan's death, at least 45 states have changed harassment laws to include cyberbullying, since at the time of her death, Missouri law did not cover internet harassment. Since Megan's death, Tina and Ron have divorced, sadly.
That happens a lot, unfortunately.
Yeah. Ron knows that Tina was vigilant in monitoring Megan's online activity, yet Tina blames herself.
Yeah, it's natural. I mean, we all wish we could have done things differently, but it's unfortunate. Whatever you slice it, it's tough.
Ron struggles daily with the loss of his daughter and remembers how no matter how low she felt, she always did try to make other people happy. Tina gave up her career as a real estate agent, and in December of 2007, she founded the Megan Meier Foundation to help support and inspire actions to end bullying, cyberbullying, and suicide. She has dedicated her life to informing children, parents, school officials, police, and anyone that will listen about the dangers of bullying and cyberbullying. Tina has learned a great deal from all of her traveling and speaking engagements. She believes that the best way to stop bullying is for students to step up and call out the bully. And this takes education. With this education comes helping kids realize that the power of words can be difficult to see online, since you can't see the person's reaction on the other end, the receiving end.
Which is why it's so easy to be a bully online.
The anonymity, that's another word I always struggle with, can also make people bolder than they would be if it was a face-to-face interaction.
Yeah.
We all know this. Parents are urged to monitor their children's activity online, set expectations for online behavior, place your computer in a central location so you can see what is going on in your kids' interactions. If your teen has been cyberbullied, save the evidence, which could be needed for reporting issues. If you are in the U.S. and you or someone you know is experiencing a mental health crisis or emotional distress, the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, which is formerly known as the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, offers 24/7 call, text, and chat access to trained crisis counselors. We will also be linking resources for the international suicide hotlines.
Yeah, well, it's a horrible story. I'm so sorry to Ron and Tina and their entire family.
Ugh.
And Allison, and just a horrible situation. I can't believe Lori Drew's walking around like totally scot-free. Obviously, there's people bothering her. I have no doubt about it, which is deserved. But
You know, though, that she's one of those people that she's like, I didn't do anything.
yeah, she's full of herself.
I'm the victim in this.
Yeah, you know that she doesn't even think that she had anything to do with it by this point, probably.
Right. She's just going to live in her horrible bubble for the rest of her life.
And then die alone, probably. I don't, whatever. I'm not going to go into all of them, but it's a sad situation. So sorry for the Meier family.
Just a tragic situation.
And I have something to read to everybody. We prepared a little statement here because something happened this weekend.
Yeah.
It's absolutely horrible and somewhat related here.
And incidentally related.
Yeah. So I'm just going to read this. So we have some terribly sad news. one of our listeners of this podcast reached out to us via Instagram yesterday, informing us they would no longer be listening to us because they made the decision to end their life. They indicated they ingested a large quantity of pills and were getting sleepy. So I'm not joking about this whatsoever. This happened. This is what happened yesterday. This threw us into a tailspin to try to help them however we could, obviously. So we're not crisis professionals. We're just parents that are trying to do our best out here.
Yeah.
And
this happened on yesterday afternoon, and Mike had just got our kid home, and I was sitting on the couch with our daughter drinking a smoothie and watching The Office when this happened.
And I asked you to come into our room because of the situation. We didn't want to take her in front of our kids, and they shouldn't be exposed to that kind of stuff. So we went into our room to be quiet and to try to figure out what to do. So we tried calling them, this person on Instagram, no answer. We asked their address or phone number and pleaded with them, please call 911, and they refused to tell us. Through research of their Instagram and Facebook pages and some in-depth Googling, we were able to make some cold calls. I found names that were attached that seemed to be in the similar area. So I started finding phone numbers, putting in a name and phone number, and just started calling random people that could be potentially associated with this person. Thankfully, so I talked and texted to several people. Once I had left a voicemail, I started texting all these people just in case it was a cell phone. And I finally spoke with this person's spouse on the phone and told them, you need to get home and call 911 on your way. Okay, and I told them the situation. Sadly, I talked to that same spouse a couple hours later, and it was too late. So the only reason I'm sharing the story is to ask anyone that has similar thoughts to please share them with someone. I promise you're not a burden. Share them with someone close to you, nearby, hopefully. Call or text 988, like Allison said. In the USA, it's so fantastic. We have volunteers that are there just to listen. They want to hear from you. So text, call, whatever's easier for you. Texting's easier for most people. Go ahead and text them, 988 in the USA. That's, like Allison said, the National Crisis and Suicide Lifeline. They're trained professionals that can help. Outside of the USA, like Allison said, our show notes will have the numbers for open counseling, international suicide hotlines. If someone you know reaches out to you, please just listen to them and take them seriously. We're just a small podcast and didn't expect to be in this position, and we did our best. So, and unfortunately it wasn't fast or enough or whatever. We can all look at things and question things, but we're in this situation right now. I know of at least one other podcast this person contacted as well.
And they tried to help.
Yeah, they did a great job too. And we talked to them briefly, and unfortunately we were both too late. The person that I'm talking about asked us to share some information that I won't do. I'm not going to do it at all because I don't want others to think we'll share anything if they're in the same situation. We're not sharing. Your life is way more important than sharing any kind of message that you have. Suffice to say, they were not in a safe place mentally, and we're going to miss them. Mm-hmm. The fact, and I'm not getting close to even hinting of who this person is because I don't want this to happen again to any other person or podcast or family or anything. The fact we're doing an episode on suicide's totally coincidental.
Yeah, the research was done.
Yeah, and we just asked you guys to take care of each other. So
yeah,
very sorry for this person and this family if you're listening. So sorry.
Yeah, it was a really horrible situation. We were just reeling. This is not anything I've ever dealt with in my entire life. And it was such a crisis situation because we knew that they had already taken the medicine and we didn't even know what country they lived in. So immediately we're trying to do detective work while frantic. And, we got it all done. We talked to their spouse within 20 minutes of receiving these messages.
I talked to some guy that said he was in Mexico, and I got the cell phone number of the spouse from that person. And thank goodness they picked up, and it was...
Yeah, it was all so quick. Yeah. And then to find the result was that we were too late was like, how do we deal with that? I don't know. I've never...
Yeah, so, I don't want to make it about me and us.
No, I know, but I'm just saying,
it's not fair.
No.
To anyone.
And I'm just sorry that somebody was in such a space that they felt that was what needed to happen.
Yep. So, I don't think we're going to sign off with our normal thing today. We can't do it. So, just take care of each other, and we wish you the best. And thank you for listening so much. I want to say thanks to our patrons too. It just feels like a weird time. I'm sorry you guys are put into this situation. I'm sure you'd rather wait until next week or something, but
really the whole point of this message is just there's help there. Listen to the people that are struggling. Believe them. Believe what they're saying.
Yep. And because the last thing you want is to wish that you did more. Not that we wished we could do. We did everything we could.
But it's not even that. You could be there for somebody. You could guide them in every way that possible, and still the result could be this.
And it could be some random person like this, that you don't even know who they are, where they are.
Right. But the whole point is it's if this is the end result, it's not your fault. No. We're not saying that.
No.
Just be there for your people, I guess.
For anybody. We're all humans. Somebody that I texted with said, thank you for doing this. I'm like, thank you for believing me. Thank you for giving us some more information so we can help find this person. So I want to say, if you appreciate what we're doing here, go ahead and be a patron. On our show notes here, we want to say welcome to our latest patrons, Audrey, Anne-Marie, Leah, Kara, and Annie. Thank you so much for supporting us. This means a ton to us. This little mom and pop podcast here we got.
Yeah. And, we're sorry that this is such a heavy last ending message, but this is life, and this is where we are. And this person did, want us to share this message. So if you think we're overstepping on our boundaries on that, that wasn't. The whole point is we're talking about a case on suicide. It's just bringing awareness that, people are struggling. And that's why these resources are there. They're there. Utilize them, please.
And if there's any negative comments, I'm just deleting them. So I'm putting that out there.
Right. We were just doing the best that we could.
Yeah.
That's all. We're just humans trying to help other humans. That's all.
Yep. So
we're all in this together. Just love each other. Be kind to each other. Even online. Even if it's a celebrity. Don't leave that comment.
Yeah, exactly. Please don't make people feel worse. We all have enough problems where we all feel like absolute shit about ourselves. Right? If we look deep down, probably.
We all have our daily struggles, we're all just doing the best we can. I know we say that a lot, but it's true. So just be kind to each other, be there for the ones we love, and just do the best you can. That's all.
All right. I think we've got enough.
And, that's it. That's all we have to say.
Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you guys.
All right. Bye.